I want to talk to you today about what happens when you have a kiddo who loves being read to but doesn't necessarily love reading independently. And that is the struggle, and that is the push and the pull. And before we start talking about that and suggestions for what to do, I want to give you just a little bit of perspective. So I want you to remember when your teeny tiny was really teeny tiny, when they were learning how to walk and crawl and talk and roll over and reach all of those milestones. You probably reached a point, if you have multiple children especially, you've probably reached a point in your thinking that was similar to the idea of, they're gonna do it on their own timeline, right? They're gonna learn how to walk on their own timeline, and wow, my first kid walked faster than my second one, and my third one, well, they're not quite walking yet, but I'm not gonna worry because I know it's coming, okay? Sometimes it's tricky, and I know this because I'm speaking firsthand, but I've seen it so often that you have that comparison piece to it. And, oh, my baby is walking, and wow, they walked at 9 months, and so, oh my gosh, they're gonna be the next Usain Bolt or whatever. Or, oh my gosh, my baby isn't walking. That was me. My baby isn't walking and they're 14 months and oh no, what are they gonna do? But that baby is walking, and you kind of have that like, oh, what am I doing as a parent? I'm failing as a parent, or maybe just my kid is, something's wrong with my kid. And hopefully you have, as I did, landed at that point of they're just going to develop on their own timeline, and it's going to be wonderful when they do, and we're going to be there when they do, okay? The same is true for reading. And I think we forget that because what we see in the United States, in our culture, is we see that push for more and faster in so many areas of our life, in so many areas. But developmentally speaking, kiddos aren't ready to read until they're 6 or 7. That's really kind of old, right? When we take them into kindergarten, and we're working with them at home, and we have this expectation because it's all around us that kids need to be reading when they are, in kindergarten, or we see the next door neighbor and they're in first grade and they're reading Harry Potter. That is an unrealistic expectation considering the developmental timeline that these kids should be learning how to read at. Now, with that said, there are ways that you can see where they're reading, and you can kind of push them a little bit along. There are kids who will read when they're 4. I had 3 of them. They read when they were 4. One literally just opened up the book and started reading one day. That doesn't happen. It does not happen. But it's a misconception to think that just because your kiddo's in first grade, they need to be reading chapter books or whatever that expectation is. I want you to think about what expectation it is you might have, and I want you to just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, that you are taking the front seat to their reading. You're going to be there for their aha moment, and it's going to be wonderful when they have it, okay? My goal is to be able to kind of help you nurture all of those, that path to that aha moment, so that you can know how to guide it and what to do when you see it, what you can spot and what you do next when you see it, okay? So keep that perspective. And it's kind of like this, okay? I'm just gonna lay one more illustration out, and then I'm gonna give you a quick tip. Let's say you have a 3-year-old, and your 3-year-old sees big sister riding a bike, and they're so excited they really wanna ride a bike. Okay, you have lots of options. You have trike, and your little one, your 3-year-old is like, nuh-uh, Mom, I am not doing the trike. They want the big bike, right? Okay, so you've got the balance bike. You have the trike that they're not gonna ride. You have the training wheel bike. You have that same size bike without the training wheels. You have big kid teenage bike. You have adult bike. You have speed race bike. You have all of these options laid before you, and which one are you going to put on your kid on? Which one are you going to have your 3-year-old go to? They've clearly said, Mom, I am not doing the trike. So which one's next? Are you going to put them on the speed racing bike? No, you're not going to do that. You're going to put them on probably the balance bike, right? Because they're in control of that. Their little feet are helping them keep the balance and keep them steady along the way. Maybe you'll put them on the training wheel bike and you'll be right there pushing them and guiding them and being with them. But basically the idea is you're not going to throw them into the deep end. No parent does that. So when we think about reading, we want to make sure that we are setting our kids up for success so that they have all the tools that they need so that we are not throwing them into the deep end. Okay? All right, back to your kid who really loves to be read to, but doesn't like to read independently yet. Okay? This is good, actually, okay? Because what you're doing is you are creating a culture, a family culture, that reading is important. Reading matters. This time that we sit side by side is super important. Can you, during that time, can you have your kiddo do a little bit of reading for you? For example, you have a book, they're sitting right next to you, you read the page that's right here in front of you, and they read the page that's right there. You are guiding them, you are nurturing them, you're right there beside them. It is not independent, but it is very comfortable. Okay. The other thing, so here's now where we transition a little bit into independent reading. I want you to think about what it is you are having them read independently. What are your guidelines for having them read independently? Are you saying, okay, Susie, just go ahead and go read for 20 minutes so I can cook dinner, so I can do the laundry, so I can do this? Where are you during their independent time? And actually, you don't have to be close. It's a good expectation to have, to set this boundary that you are reading on your own, and I might be doing mom things, and that's okay. But what expectations do you have for that alone time reading? That's what I want you to think about. Are you having them read the book that you have been working on during direct instruction with them? Is it their level? Is it above their level? I'm just going to segue for a second, because when you are doing a direct instruction lesson with your kiddo, one thing you should keep in mind is that direct instruction with you right there, kind of like you sitting and reading right side by side, that is the time that they feel comfortable and secure. You are their seatbelt, kind of. Right? You are their safety net. You are the one who can push them just a little bit. You know maybe how far you can push them. I hope you know how far you can push them before it gets super frustrating. But that direct instruction time is the time when you need to push just a little bit. You do something that's just a little bit beyond their comfort level, their independent comfort level, and that's where the growth happens, because you are right there beside them. But when they're doing it independently, this needs to not be hard. It needs to not be challenging at all. They need to feel successful and comfortable. And how you can do that, you can have a bag or a basket or a box, whatever you want. You can have one of those set aside. And I would say maybe the first time you introduce this, maybe go through with your kiddo and pick books that you know they love reading. Like, these are the ones that maybe are on their shelf that you read all the time, so much that you're getting sick of them, but they love them. Do you know why they might love them? Because they know them, because there's comfort there. And if they are reading them like we think reading is eyes on page, tracking each word, all of that. But if they are memorizing it and they think they're reading, awesome. That is a comfortable book. You want that book in their bag or their basket, okay? And then have them choose like maybe 4 others. You don't want to have an open-ended shelf for them to choose from. You want it to be really small and not secluded. That's not the right word. You want it to be really small. You want the choices to be limited when you're first introducing this idea, okay? So maybe you have those couple board books that they love. They might know, maybe there's just 1 or 2 words on the page. Maybe they know the whole sentence. It's super comfortable. It's super rote memorized. It is super easy. Those go in the basket, okay? Because what you're doing is you're having them spend their time in a place that is comfortable for them, that they feel successful. Because when you're doing the direct instruction, you're doing the part that is pushing them. You're doing the part that is hard. You're expecting a lot from them, but now they need a little bit of a breather, and the breather comes with the basket, okay? A couple other ideas for what you can put in the basket. You can put, maybe you have you made a family book or family scrapbook or something, and you have like the names of aunties. That's okay. Let them read Aunt Nora, Aunt Sarah. Let them read that. That is comfortable. Okay. What about magazines or their National Geographic Kids magazine, and they see Red Fox, Panda, whatever it is? Maybe they're not even reading. Maybe they're not even putting those little words together, and that's okay. That's okay. That will change, because pretty soon you're going to take some of those comfortable books out and you're going to replace them now with books that you have read together during direct instruction. They are now comfortable. They are now no longer a push and a struggle, and you're going to put those in the book basket. Another idea for independent reading time too, this is going to date me. You'll see how old I am when I say book on tape. Okay, we don't have books on tape anymore, but like whatever the equivalent, like Kindle. My kids never did that, so but you know what they are, like books on CD. Maybe you have one of those fancy books. I've seen them advertised where it's grandma reading a story to them. That can go into their independent reading time. The goal is independent reading time should feel comfortable and successful. And when you are working with them direct instruction, it should be the push. Okay, so a little bit of push, a little bit of pull. Just remember that this is one step getting your kiddo closer to independent reading. And you are just so blessed because you get to be taking that front seat to that aha moment, and it is coming. So be patient. Be patient, okay? I am going to be talking about next the kiddo who doesn't really like to be read to, doesn't really like to be read with, and then getting them to do it independently, that it's just like, that's not happening. So we're going to talk about that next. All right, happy reading.